Okay, can you hear me? Yes, perfect. That was an easy start. Excellent. It's just okay. Thanks for joining, everyone. Welcome to another Sunday evening live stream. I think this is the fourth one in a row I've done now, so planning on make this a regular occurrence during the lockdown period. Hope you all enjoy it. I'm excited to be here with you all, and let's have a really great stream. Feel free to chat amongst yourselves in the stream. If I'm on transmit mode and I'm not looking and kind of answering questions, then chat amongst yourselves. I do tend to have so many questions coming in at once on the stream, so if there are experienced guys amongst you, do feel free to use the live chat as an engagement tool yourselves and answer the questions if you can, if I'm not available to do that. This stream is going to be kind of a stream of three parts. The first part, we're going to go through 10 Q&As that I actually did an Instagram story yesterday, and I asked people to ask questions for this particular stream, and I had literally hundreds of questions coming in, and I picked out 10 of the best ones. So I'm going to go through all of those, and then we'll go through a more general Q&A after that. And then the final part of the stream, I want to show you around all of my tanks at home, starting off with this Aquascape 1200, and I've got 4 other tanks to show you as well. So it'll be about an hour or so. I really hope you enjoy it. I love these streams. I really look forward to engaging with you guys. And yeah, hopefully you can answer some of your questions and you can learn some stuff and be inspired. So let's go and jump on over to the Q&As. So first of all, thank you to everyone that does follow me on Instagram. If you don't, I think Candy's just left the link. Thanks Candy, appreciate that. I'll use it as an engagement tool just to give you an update of what's going on in my current kind of my current aquascaping career. Also use it to show off kind of old photos, etc. But do check out the account if you don't follow me already on Instagram, and if you don't have Instagram, I recommend it, especially at this time when you've got more time to create content for yourselves. Maybe take pictures of your own aquariums, little videos, etc. Create an Instagram account, and then you can be part of this really great community. Just finish off my tea. Oh, lovely. So, yeah, hit the like button, guys, if you want to. I appreciate that. I appreciate Candy hitting the, giving me the link, giving everyone the link to my Instagram as well. So I'm going to jump on over to the questions, the top 10 questions from the Instagram story, like I said. The first question is it's a really great question. So I deliberately want to start off with this really great question by the Instagram username is My Aquarium Photography, and his or her question is, what drives and what keeps motivating you to keep answering the same old questions? So it's a great question. I do get asked every day a very similar kind of set of questions. You know, I've got algae, how do I get rid of it? Is this light any good? What filter should I buy? So all of these kind of frequently asked questions I do get a lot of, and the reason I kind of am quite happy to answer them when I have the capacity to is because, you know, I was a beginner once, and I asked these questions, and, you know, I kind of put myself in your shoes. What was it like to be a beginner? I think it's really important to encourage beginners as well. You know, they're the kind of the next generation of hobbyists. You know, without encouraging the beginners, then we wouldn't have a hobby. So I think this is really important, and I think it's potentially quite easy to lose sight of the beginners, because as people make their own journey in their aquascaping hobby or their aquarium hobby, you know, you can kind of lose sight of that beginner aspect. And I consider one of my personal kind of traits is to have a kind of coaching mentality, and I like to kind of coach and bring people up, and, you know, engaging with beginners and helping beginners is a really great way to do that, and that's another reason I like to encourage the beginners. And I think it's just a nice thing to do. I just get rewarded by it. I feel like I'm adding value to the hobby. It's one of the great reasons that I've written my book, because it's going to answer hopefully all of these questions that I get every day in one book, and I can just point people to the book and say buy that and all your questions will be answered. So there we go. So I hope that answers your question, my aquarium photography. Thanks so much for that amazing question. I really enjoyed answering that one. Botany Wayscapes, I hope you're watching, because Botany Wayscapes is a massive supporter of me on Instagram. They constantly reshare my posts as stories on their own page, so I really appreciate the support. And here's, I guess it's a he, it might be a her, best tip for taking a competition photo with a digital SLR camera. If you watch my video on how to take better photos with your smartphone, it is kind of the same principles really. Just get as much light as you can on the tank. You know, try to borrow lights, or, you know, fit extra lights basically above your tank. The more light you have, the better that quality, the better the image quality is going to be. And try to make all external lights, ambient lights, minimal. So close any curtains, maybe photograph it first thing in the morning or last thing at night. So they're two top tips. In particular with digital SLR cameras, it's really kind of common for beginners to get fixated on the equipment they're using. So they're worried about buying a cheap body, or they want to buy an expensive camera body. But actually, all entry-level digital SLR cameras now, or mirrorless cameras, are very good quality. You can get great images from them. But the one thing I would definitely invest in is a good lens. And if you buy a good quality lens, then this will last you, you know, if you stay on the same kind of camera ecosystem, so Sony, Canon, Nikon, etc., you buy a really good quality lens at the start of your, you know, photography journey, that can last you years. I have a couple of L series lenses from my Canon that I bought, you know, 20 years ago, and they're still working absolutely great. So I would definitely look at spending even more on a lens than you would on potentially on the camera body. So as another top tip for you. So thanks for the great question, and thanks again to the support, Botany Wayscapes. I'm just going to make sure that the stream hasn't frozen, because this has happened to me before. No, we're good. Make sure the audio is still working. Yes, good, perfect. So next question was from That Dirted Tank. Best source to read on the estimative index method. So this is a method of fertilization, liquid fertilizers or dry powder fertilizers. The principle is just adding, basically almost overdosing every day and then changing loads of water every week. This means that the nutrient levels are always good enough for the plants, and then the big water change resets the nutrient levels every week. That's basically what EI is, or estimative index. The best source, in my opinion, is Tom Barr. So the Barr report, which is BARR report.com. And Tom, a good friend of mine, he's basically the guy that made EI popular with aquarium hobbyists. So go onto the Barr report, there's pinned articles on the forum there, check those out. Noob Dude Scaper, thanks for the question, mate. How do you clean your substrate without disturbing the delicate plants? Really straightforward method. I just literally wave my hand just above the plants there. That lifts up all of the detritus, all of the waste organic matter. And then as part of the water change, I just siphon that away. I actually have, you might have seen the video of an external filter inlet that hangs inside the aquarium. That has a long hose that goes into the garden. And I just wave my hand, the inlet comes right down to here. Wave my hand around the carpet, and then that lifts up and it gets all siphoned out as part of the massive water change. Magnus Hansen, I was wondering if algae appears in a new setup more often than older setups. It can do. I mean, it is particularly risky in a new setup if you're not doing enough water changes. Maybe you've got a soil substrate which is leaching nutrients. Maybe your plants aren't quite growing as they settle into a new setup, so they don't have the ability to outcompete with the algae. This is why the water changes are important. So it is very common in a new setup, and it is also common in an old setup, especially if it hasn't been maintained appropriately. So what can happen is in an old setup, you generally get a kind of chronic build-up almost of waste organic matter, especially in a very heavily planted tank, all amongst the substrate, the soil, etc. All this gunk can kind of build up, or maybe you're not cleaning your filter as much as you should be. This build-up of waste organics generally triggers algae as well. So they're both algae risks in new and old. It's just for different reasons. The number one thing I would suggest for dealing with any algae issue is to get rid of the cause of the algae, which is typically poorly plant growth and maintenance. Address those and you shouldn't get algae again. So really focus on your healthy plant growth, lots of it, fast growing plants if you can, stem plants, floating plants even, loads of water changes if you need to, keep your filter relatively clean, and you shouldn't really get much algae if your plants are healthy. This is a great question. Guppy Central Dublin asks, what makes a beautiful aquarium? Well, a bit of a cheesy answer, but beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So whatever looks beautiful to you, that's beautiful. There are compositional guidelines which can kind of give you an idea of what might look beautiful. So using the rule of thirds, positioning your focal points appropriately, using depth has been a game changer in aquascaping, I would say, in the last sort of 20 years or so. Just really focusing on making the most of how deep the aquarium is front to back, using little optical illusions to help enhance that sense of depth. This can really help an aquarium look more beautiful. Paying attention to textures, colours, overall balance, all these things kind of add up to this overall impression that hopefully looks beautiful. My style of aquascaping, which arguably, I think looks beautiful, it's all down to personal opinion. With an art form, it's subjective, but my style is quite straightforward. In fact, I normally I have a very distinct foreground, midground and background, and then a strong hardscape, or the hardscape's normally first when I aquascape, and then lots of epiphyte plants on the hardscape. So kind of 4 or 5 elements there. Focus on those individually, and they should all hopefully, form a coherent design. But yeah, that's my answer to what makes a beautiful aquarium. It's all how you perceive it. But I think by looking at just analysing the best aquascapes out there, winners of the ILPLC, or just the top kind of 100 rankings in the ILPLC, all of Amano's work pretty much. These are all stuff that you can learn from. You can just learn by osmosis. The more stuff you analyse and just take in and admire, the more kind of lessons you'll learn, even subconsciously. You don't really need to think, oh, that plant's there, that looks good. It's just you learning a new language almost. Jordan King, 1512, what's your all-time favourite aquascape and why? It has to be Florestas Submersas in Lisbon, the giant nature aquarium that Amano built just before it got scaped, just before he sadly passed away. I went there with my wife, my now wife, about a year or so ago now, and it completely blew my mind. It moved me to tears, and it was just like being completely submersed in this beautiful world. We completely kind of literally immersed in the nature aquarium experience, and for that reason, it's definitely my favourite. And it's massive, and they've done it justice with the size. It could be quite easy to mess up a massive aquarium like that, but Amano did a great job with the design, and they've carried on maintaining it really beautifully. Radu Sam, shout out to my good friend Radu if you're watching. A setup you remember to this very day, a milestone aquarium, if you can recall any. Yes, the kind of game-changing aquascape I would say for me was Mother Microsaurum, which was a Jewel Rio 125. The UK and German and European people heard of the Jewel aquariums. Quite a kind of off-the-shelf system, but it's the first tank I ever kind of got into CO2 injection, EI fertilizers, estimative index fertilizers, good liquid fertilizers, good circulation, CO2, added extra lights to it as well. And I managed to grow a carpet of glossostigma. There's a massive Java fern in there, which, one of the reasons Java fern is still my favorite plant to this day. And some Sagittaria and some Anubias. And it's a real simple design. but it was really great, and it was actually the Aquascape that kind of got me noticed by Practical Fish Keeping magazine, and kind of my whole aquascaping career. It was like one of the first steps in the stepping stones, if you like, of becoming an inverted commas successful aquascaper. I actually sent a photo of it into Practical Fish Keeping, and a long story, if you might have heard the story before. But yeah, that aquascape is definitely my favourite. If you actually Google Mother Microsaurum, you might see an entry into the Aquatic Gardens Association, and you'll see the scape. It's quite a classic. Big Java fern, Glossostigma carpet, Cardinal tetras, Sagittaria. Yeah, that's my favourite, and that's why. Planted Element, what is your goal or hope for the aquascaping hobby in the future? Where do you see it in 5 or 10 years? I think my goal is quite ambitious, maybe. Not ambitious. I just want to see more aquascapes and more homes. I really believe in the therapeutic value of aquascaping and bringing nature indoors in general. And there's lots of ways we can do that, but my personal favourite way of doing that is aquascaping. Wabicusas and terrariums are becoming more popular, which is great, but I think there's something, for me, there's something even more special about an aquascape in that it's a pool of water. You know, something really special about being close to water. I think it brings a sense of comfort. Probably goes back to ancestral days where, you know, we needed a water source to survive. We didn't just have kind of taps to, you know, get our glasses of water from. So I think there's something kind of, ancestrally attractive about being close to water. So yeah, in 5 or 10 years time, I just hope there's many more aquascapes around the world. I hope hobbyists can make that step away from just having a fish tank as an ornament with plastic plants and goldfish, etc., you know, pink gravel, and I hope they can step away from that stereotypical kind of old school perception of a fish tank that sits in the corner of a room, gathers algae, gets neglected. They probably have issues with the fish get diseased, they can't grow the plants, then they have a bad experience. They've probably spent a fair amount of money on it, but because they've had a bad experience, that's now been attached to that aquarium, and then potentially you've lost that hobby, you've lost them to the hobby for life, which is an absolute tragedy. But if we can just educate people and inspire them to just start the road on aquascaping, you know, growing easy plants, you don't need seed to injection, you don't need a lot of light, you can have low maintenance setups, small inexpensive setups, but they're still beautiful, they still connect you with nature. And I really hope in 5 or 10 years time that more people embrace that. So that is my hope and my dream. Okay, last question for the Instagram story questions. B. Kabasa, we all know you love aquascaping, but what other hobbies interest you? That's a good question. Aquascaping is obviously my hobby, as well as my kind of career choice. So I do a couple of things to relax now away from aquascaping, although aquascaping is still relaxing for me. I've recently got into gaming. So during the lockdown period, I've had a bit more time on my hands during the day, and we've just got a new Xbox for my stepson. So we've been sharing that. I've been playing Forza 4, which is an open world kind of racing game, which I absolutely love. I love racing simulators, car simulators. And actually, last night I just bought my own Xbox as well, so I don't have to share it with Toby anymore. So I'm really excited to get into that a bit more. But I'm going to be quite kind of strict with it and get all the the work done that needs doing during the day, and then do some gaming after that if I have time. So that's another kind of new hobby that I'm getting into. I used to love gaming as a kid. You know, I used to have a PS1, the original PlayStation. I mean, I originally had a ZX Spectrum. You know, for the older viewers out there, you remember the ZX Spectrum, one of the first affordable personal computers from like 1983, 1984. I think we bought our first one. And then we had an Atari ST, and then I got onto consoles. So I had a SNES, and then a PlayStation, and then a PlayStation 2. And then that was sort of late 90s, and then that was it. I didn't really have anything to do with gaming at all until now. So that's one hobby that's kind of been rekindled, I guess. And then another kind of, I wouldn't say it's a hobby, but more of a lifestyle choice is just health and wellness. I keep fit. My wife and I go running most days as part of our daily exercise that we're allowed to do. We take Tommy for a run with us as well sometimes. And I'm really interested in nutrition and just general kind of health and wellness. So I kind of do a low carb diet, focus on mental well-being as well as physical. Do push-ups and squats during the day and stuff like this to keep fit and active. So yeah, that's it really. A bit of gaming and a bit of health and fitness and wellness. Okay, let's dive back over to the chats. Thank you for staying with us. Yeah, some of you talking about the ZX Spectrum. Green Aqua's here, shout out. ZX Spectrums, yeah, and there we go. I'm not a petrol head, Nick. No, I have a Honda Civic, which is fairly new, I think 2016. It's a turbo, it's quite a high spec diesel, super efficient, but no, I'm not a petrol head. I really want a Porsche 911, but that's another story. Vic 20, wow. No. Okay, we're digressing onto computers. It's not a gaming channel. Okay, guys. So fire away with your questions now, and then I'll pick out some of the. Oh, we've got a super chat. Thank you so much to Dan Beneteau. Before we go into the Q&As, if you do definitely want your question being answered, then drop me a super chat. It just highlights it, and then I definitely know that you need your question answering. Otherwise, I'll just run through them as I can find them. So first of all, a Tesla. Yeah, I do want a Tesla. Where's it gone? Super chat. There we go. Dan Beneteau. Thanks for the super chat, mate. Very generous, £10. Any tips for trimming hair grass? I seem to end up getting netting out the trimming for days. Thank you. Yeah, you just have to net them out, really. I mean, the other option is as you trim, you can siphon. So if you maybe get your partner or someone to help you out, but as you're trimming, if you're siphoning water out at the same time, those trimmings can get sucked out. That's a good way. That's why I like to do moss. Other than that, yeah, you just have to net out the cuttings, unfortunately. Thank you so much for the super chat. It's really generous of you. We've got another one, Josh ATX. My weekly contribution to Georgia's Plant Fund. Thank you very much. I do have a big collection of plants I'm going to show you later, actually, so that's really helpful. Appreciate it. Top chat. Here we go. 100 plus likes, that's awesome. 275 of you watching. That's great. Thank you so much. Okay. Oh, Mark Geordie Scapers here. Shout out to Mark. Okay, we've got a question here that I'm going to answer. Grigor Alexandru 060387. Hello, George. What light percentage you have and how do you fertilise in a new setup? Well, this is actually running on 100%, but normally if I can, I will start, and especially with a high lighting setup, I'll start off with half power and then gradually ramp it up over the 4 weeks or so. So if you start off with 50 at the zero, at day one, at day zero, and at day 28, end up at 100, and then divide that up in increments if you can. If you've got a twin star, you can buy the separate controllers to program that, or some other way, depending on the lighting that you have. You can start off on 100% lighting if you want to. I would probably run a lower photo period, so maybe 6 hours. I normally run 8 hours, but just keep up the water changes, focus on really healthy plant growth, put loads of fast growers in there, and you shouldn't really get much algae, hopefully. Aquamain, what are your pH in your planted tanks? I actually don't know. I don't own a pH test kit. I know I have hard tap water and I inject CO2 into this tank, but all my other tanks don't have CO2. So it's probably around pH 7.5, I would guess, but I don't actually know. Colin Blake, hi George, any suggestions for a red colour plants for a low maintenance system? Yeah, I mean, you could get something like easy red plants. I mean, Limnophila hyperoides, this red plant here, this will actually grow in an easy setup with low lighting and non-CO2, but you just won't get that red intense colour. Alternanthera mini, the tropical 1-2 grow, that's a fairly easy plant. It isn't so fast at growing. You could get a bulb as well. You could get a lotus, Nymphia lotus, which is the African tropical lily. So a couple of options for you there. Donald Fish Vibes, George, do I know Solid Gold Aquatics? If so, where did she go? Is she okay? I don't know her personally, but I know her channel. I don't know what happened to her, but yeah, she doesn't do any content at the moment, as far as I can see. I don't know what happened there. I honestly think it would be good fun to have a dedicated chat to George about computer game systems, just for the sake of being off topic once in a while. Yeah, maybe we do a separate stream and I advertise it as a gaming stream. I don't know. Well, we've got another super chat here. Josh ATX. I've got to give a special shout out to Josh because he keeps dropping these super chats. He's very generous. And he says, oh, I forgot to add an extra question. Should I dose fertilizers if I'm struggling with a nitrate issue? I have loads of live plants, 20 ppm nitrates. I don't know what you mean by nitrate issue. Do you think you've got too much or too little? 20 ppm is fine, fine for all plants. I would definitely dose a fertilizer if you're not dosing any at the moment. If you've got a healthy plant, a tank with plenty of plants, those plants will definitely benefit from a fertilizer. If you're worried about increasing nitrate, then dose a fertilizer without any nitrates and maybe phosphates. So you've got, I mean, I like to use Tropica Premium Nutrition, which doesn't have the added nitrate and phosphate. Loads of other kind of comprehensive brands out there without nitrate and phosphate as well. Thanks for the super chat, mate. Appreciate it. Mark Woodacre, thank you, mate, for the $4.99 super chat. What is the best filter media and how much would I need for an Oase 250 filter? This only has the standard in-box media at the moment. Hi, Mark. Do you know what? I've talked about this quite a lot lately, but I would just, if you've got a healthy planted aquarium, and you can just use the media that comes supplied with the filter. The filter media that comes with the Oase filters is great. I mean, I use it on my Malawi cichlid tank. I've got one Oase Biomaster 600 on there, which is a big filter, but they're big, messy fish. I've just got the standard media in there, and they're absolutely fine. Another point I would argue is the healthier your plants and the more heavily planted you are, actually the less you need to rely on your biological filter media, because your plants are actually doing much of the biological filtration. And actually plants prefer to use, they'll use ammonia as their preferred nitrogen source. So in a healthy plant in a tank, those plants are actually potentially using that ammonia even before the filter bacteria can. So it actually becomes a bit of a moot point what filter media you should use. If you've got a non-planted tank, filter media becomes a lot more important because it's responsible for doing that biological filtration, the nitrogen cycle. Most people even know what that is now. So you might want to upgrade the media, but actually I would still be quite confident in the Oase's media. Oase are a filtration, they're well known for their pond filters. They have a background in filtration, biological filtration in general. So my experience, my opinion is just keep it as it is. Save yourself some money. And thanks for super chat. Another super chat, thank you so much. Mean Machine 25, £5. Hi George, what's your preferred stone? Siriu, Dragonstone or Woodstone, and why? I think if I only had to choose one of those, I would go for Siriu. But I like them all, and they're all kind of applicable to use in different aquascapes. So it really depends on the style of aquascape that you want to go for. Woodstone has a very kind of linear striata, a linear kind of shape, really straight lines that run up and down or across, depending on obviously how you position your rock. But this can be really great for creating diorama style iwigumis, so this would be great for that. Dragonstone is very unique with its kind of dragon scale appearance, with the kind of indentations, circular indentations out, which give the appearance of like a dragon scale, hence the name Dragonstone. And the colour's really attractive, you know, it's like an orangey brown colour. So this is useful for, you know, a certain kind of theme of aquascape that you want to get. And Sirius Stone is a classic, you know, I'm not using it in here, but I'm using it in my cichlid tank and my Styleline, which I'll show you later. But yeah, that's probably my favourite. Thank you again for the super chat, really appreciate it. New Dudescaper MD is going to be in a bit, donating his beard. Chris Burrell, thank you mate for the super chat, $10. George, does running a Matten filter or airstone in a tank dissipate CO2 levels more quickly, thus requiring more BPS to be used? As always, thank you for your inspiration. Cheers. Cheers to you, Chris. Appreciate your generosity there. I think anything that disturbs the surface, it doesn't matter what it is, if it's a airstone or Matten filter, anything that's breaking the air-water interface is going to drive off the CO2, so you will need to add more CO2. My preferred method of filtration is to use a powerful external filter, and then you can see the lily pipe there. I don't know if you can see the level of circulation. You can probably just see a ripple there on the surface, but there's actually quite a lot of surface movement on here, but it's not actually kind of breaking the surface. It's not actually, what's this word, like crashing, you know what I mean, I'm sure. So the CO2, it might be being driven off a little bit, but not as much as an airstone, I would say. But to answer your question, yeah, you do need to add more CO2 to compensate for any of that air-water interface interaction, because CO2, just by the nature of it, is very, how do I say, easy to be driven off. It's unstable in water. And this is why it's quite hard to measure it accurately, and it's why CO2 injection is quite a complex topic potentially. But yeah, basically the more surface agitation you have, the more CO2 you need to add. Thank you for the super chat, I really appreciate it. Got another one from Luke Webb, thank you mate. Hi George, I also live in hard water, close to Huntingdon, yay to the Huntingdon massive. Can I please ask your advice on water hardness and how you deal with it? I choose easy plants which don't mind hard water. I mean, there's not many plants that you can't grow in hard water if you have good light, good CO2, good circulation, good fertilizers, good soil and good maintenance. You should be able to grow pretty much all of Tropicus plants, for instance, even the advanced category with hard water. You'll just need more light and CO2 than you might need with a soft water potentially. If you can't afford good light and CO2 injection, then just stick with easy plants. In fact, all of the plants in here, apart from the hydrocotyle verticillata, are all easy. So all of these they all thrive in hard water. I have probably a very similar water chemistry to you. So yeah, just stick with easy plants or just use more light and CO2 and fertilizers, and you should be able to grow pretty much anything. Okay, we've got Amateur Aquatics. Hello, mate. If you could only use one wood and one stone for the rest of your life, what type would you pick? I really love Frodo stone. That's what I'm using in here. Beautiful stone from Adam Pascala. And wood, it would probably be manzanita wood. I really do love the gnarled manzanita wood that you see sort of Tom Barr using a lot. But yeah, those two are my favourite. Quite easy to pick those. I've used them regularly over the years, and I really enjoy using those. Okay, so many questions coming through, guys. MH Aquatics, are there any aquascaping masterclasses in the UK or talks? Not in the moment with lockdown. I do quite regular workshops through the year, so hopefully I'll be able to do another one soon. I did have one planned at Aquarium Gardens just before lockdown, and then actually I should have been doing one yesterday at Horizon Aquatics up in the northeast, but hopefully they'll be rescheduled later in the year. In terms of masterclasses, I guess no, there isn't. I call a workshop is the nearest thing you get to a masterclass. I mean, if you really want to learn more about aquascaping, then obviously my channel has plenty of videos on there. Check out the Green Aqua channel as well. Some really great content on there if you don't know about those guys already. Yuri's channel is very good as well. I will plug the Tropica YouTube channel. Lots more content on there at the moment, which I'm helping out with. So there's lots of good quality content that you would you put in the same bracket as a masterclass, I would say. But hopefully we'll get to meet maybe on a workshop at some point soon. Aquarium Gardens is in Huntingdon, and then you have Horizon Aquatics up in the north, I think fairly near Durham, I want to say. AD's in. Yeah, I've gutted about Horizon being, not attending that. New Mexico Aquatics. Hello, Bobby. I would love to see you do some species profiles. Can you please discuss Hygrophilus siamensis 53B? I have some and I love it. I was literally talking to my wife yesterday, and I said I should really do plant profiles on my channel, like top 5 easy plants, or just kind of break it down into like lists of top 5 or top 10. I'm going to be doing plant profiles specifically for the Tropica channel, so I don't want to do too much crossover material, if that makes sense. But yeah, definitely feature Hygrophilus siamensis 53B as one of my top 5 easy plants. Yeah, I love that plant as well. We've got a super chat. Yeah, Uber Analog from Charlie. Is Tropica planning a larger presence in the US? Right now in California, one pot of 1-2 grow is $17 and $30 shipping. Oh my gosh. I feel for you guys. Yes, is the answer to that. I can't give you too much details because I don't know myself, but I'm very hopeful that Tropica 1-2 grow will be much more widely available across the United States relatively soon. So I'm shocked that it costs that much right now, especially for the shipping. No wonder people are struggling to aquascape over there if that's how much decent plants cost. That's really surprised me actually. So the answer is yes. I mean, in the meantime, you can use other brands that might be cheaper, I guess. I do love the 1-2 grow in particular. If you've watched any of my videos, you know by now why that is. Rollin Folks, thank you so much for the super chat, Rollin. I recently purchased a 75-gallon aquarium. That's about 300 litres to our UK friends. I want to do an Amazonian theme. What plants would you use for the background, mid and foreground without CO2? That's a great question. You put me on the spot there. No CO2, 300 litre, 75 gallon. I would go big Amazon swords in the back, Echinodorus blairi, which don't need CO2. They'll do good. They'll do better with a nutrient-rich substrate though. If you can't afford the soil, then at least use root capsules to target feed those plant roots. In the mid-ground, Amazonian. Oh, we need a mid-ground. Starogini repens. This comes from South America, so you could argue Amazonian. Easy as well, doesn't need CO2. Again, would benefit from a nutrient-rich substrate. And then in the foreground, I would be tempted to keep it open. So you have an open sand, cosmetic sand or gravel foreground. If you really wanted a carpeting plant and you can get hold of it, then the Halanthrium tenellum green, which comes in Tropica's 1-2 grow range, is really easy. I'm growing it in 2 scapes right now without CO2. So that is a foreground option. And then hardscape wise, you haven't really got much selection of epiphytes in Amazonian, unfortunately. You can actually use Staragine as an epiphyte. I've done it before in my discus tank, so that's maybe another option for you. But yeah, there's an answer for you then. So background, midground, and foreground. Thank you for the super chat. Okay, this is a good question or good comment. Geordie Scaper, ADA Gallery must be one of your bucket list must-dos. Any plans to visit in the near future? Green Aqua is one of mine. Fingers crossed for September. Hope Horizon visit gets sorted. Yes, mate. Yeah, of course, Nature Aquarium Gallery in Japan, definitely on my bucket list. I was actually invited over this year or last year, whenever it was recently, by Adam Pashgala, but I had other commitments, unfortunately. But I will go over, definitely at some point. Green Aqua is amazing. I've been there 2 or 3 times now, and it blows me away every time. And yeah, look forward to meeting you, hopefully at Horizon sometime soon. Simone Tovo, hi George. What working pressure do you use when injecting CO2? Is 30 psi enough in your opinion? It really depends on the type of diffuser you have. I'm running about 40 psi in mine, but I have an inline external diffuser which needs quite a lot of working pressure to penetrate that tight ceramic. So it depends on the diffuser type you've got. 30 psi should be enough for most diffusers, but if you have a particularly kind of really tight ceramic disc or inline diffuser, then you might struggle. ADM, you're a bit like a local store helping the hobby. Thanks, AD, really appreciate that, mate. I try my best. Just a quick fun fact about AD. Me and AD go back. I've known AD for probably 10 years plus. AD was really prolific on UCAP's forum. I don't know if he still is. Really talented scaper. Check him out. He's got his own Instagram account as well now, dedicated to aquariums. Really, really great guy from the Northeast as well. Jordan, why did I change the look on my Aquascape 1200? Just because I wanted to. Just fancy the change, really. I'm going to do an update video on this hopefully next week. So I'll go into a deep dive about why I did it and what we're going to do next in there. I'll take you through a complete tour of it soon as well with the camera. We'll go around in a minute. In fact, we need to do it soon because it's coming up 7:45. Super chat from Janine the Fish Herd 199. Thank you so much, Janine. You didn't come up on my thing. I do apologise. Are you going to live stream with MD Fish Tanks? Hopefully, yes. We did plan a Instagram live stream together, but my internet connection has been so dodgy on Instagram lately that we decided to postpone it. But yeah, hopefully sometime soon. Okay, I'm going to... Okay, thanks for the super chats, guys. I'm going to leave my computer alone for a minute, and I'm going to take you around all the tanks as promised, starting off with the Aquascape 1200. I'm just going to turn my studio light off because it will stop the reflections. Here we go. And then I'm just going to jump in front of the camera, behind the camera even. And then just excuse that. There we go. Okay, so, we lost audio. Okay, let me know if you can, hopefully you can hear me. Ooh. There we go. So here's the Aquascape 1200. I spend, try to do 5 minutes on each tank or so. 1200, so this measures 4 feet long. For those that don't know, there is a dedicated playlist to this. It's called the Aquascape 1200 from scratch. So if you want to watch the entire kind of evolution of this tank, from rescaping it to the hardscape process, initially planting it, dealing with algae issues, trimming, all kinds of tutorial videos on there as well. So check out that playlist. But yeah, I'm really, really happy with this. I have recently modified the foreground here, as you can see. Just fancy the change. It's quite monotonous along the foreground here, so I just decided to mix it up a bit. Took a load of crypts out, which were here. and then you expose the stones, which look a lot nicer, I think. Also got some Monte Carlo growing here, which looks great as an epiphyte plant. Check out this juvenile Episto. Thanks, Candy, for the link. I really appreciate it. So yeah, really happy with this. We've got Limnophila hyperoides, which is actually growing out the top of the tank right now. These are real good trim, as you can see. I actually think there's a bit too much red in here now. I kind of want to replace this area here with more green, maybe let the Hygrophila siamensis grow here, and then just kind of have red over the trident fern, and then again more green over here, and then make it more of a definite kind of curve like this. And then I'm thinking of maybe modifying the foreground again, but I'm not sure. So open to ideas, guys. Yeah, Monte Carlo, you can grow it as an epiphyte plant. It's actually quite an easy plant, one of the kind of relatively easy foreground carpeting plants. If you check out the Tropica YouTube channel, the limited edition tank in there is using Monte Carlo a lot as an epiphyte plant. So yeah, there's a Tropica art print up there, looks beautiful. Glass inlet and outlets. Get a lot of questions about why I have these next to each other and not at each other's end. So the idea is that the water comes out of here and then works its way around the whole tank and then back here. If the inlet was directly over here, then if you imagine the water's just going to come out of here and then straight here, and then you wouldn't get as much circulation around the back of the aquarium. So that's why I have the inlet and the outlet together. It promotes better all-round circulation. So let's check out the Awase Highline 175, home to my Chindongo Salusi Malawi cichlids. And the camera's struggling with the dynamic range of this setup right now, unfortunately. But you can see just how big and healthy these are. You could argue this is overstock now. I'll get a lot of comments about it's not big enough for these fish right now. And in terms of the size it is, but the filtration is really good. I've got an Awase Biomaster 600. It's a big filter. I mean, you see how big it is because of my hand there. Shout out to Fritz Aquatics, where I use this as a dechlorinator. Just a dry powder, just 1 teaspoon every 40 gallons or so. This is the food, timer for the lights, heater, and the filter there. And yeah, this is Stone. We talked about Stone, didn't we, at the beginning of the chat? This is one of my favourite stones to work with. And I have to give a credit to my stepson, Harrison, who has been maintaining my tanks almost exclusively. Even with me being at home, I'm working on other projects. So, and Harrison likes to earn a bit of extra money, so why not put him to work? So, really love this tank, really easy, just big water changes, clean the glass, clean the rocks now and again, and just enjoy the fish. I'm just going to wipe the camera lens because I think it might be a bit blurry. Okay, here's my plant growing tank. I'm just going to put the lights on. I did turn the lights off this because of the reflection into the 1200. Just bear with me 1 second. So this is my my plant farm, as I like to call it. So at the moment, we've just got some brand new plants from Tropica, but these have been in here for probably 3 or 4 weeks now, waiting for a new scape. So this is actually a Awase Styleline 125, which I'm going to be scaping soon, maybe even next week. But the video will be exclusively for Awase to start with. Then once it's released on the Awase channels, I'll be able to promote it on my own channels. So similar to the 85 over there that you may have seen. But yeah, excited to scape this one. So these are all Tropica plants. We've got Bacopa in the background, we've got Crypts in the midground, and then we've got some Crypt Parva and some hairgrass in the foreground, basically. But yeah, I've actually got a really kind of basic CO2 system going on here. So you can see on the left there's it's actually a converted Eheim surface skimmer with the skimming portion removed, just the basic sponge there. And then that's blowing, you can see the CO2 coming out there. Yeah, true farmer, yeah. And just getting basically enough light and CO2 to keep the plants healthy. I put a little bit of fertilizer in there as well. This is the CO2 system I'm using. This is the Tropica nano system. I've actually retrofitted a solenoid, so it saves me loads of CO2. 'Cause the CO2 is only coming on for 8 hours a day, so what's that? I'm only using a third of the CO2 if I had it on compared with having it on 24/7. Another shout out to Fritz Aquatics. Really love this stuff. Glass and acrylic cleaner. Clean all my tanks with this. Yeah, if you've not used this yet before, it's better than window cleaner. It's non-toxic, so if you accidentally get it in your aquarium, it's not going to kill your fish. Actually leaves like a polish, so it makes the glass really smooth. So it just keeps it really, really easy to clean. So this is the Styleline 85 that you may have seen already. There is a full tutorial video on this. Thanks, Candy. There is a full video on this, how I set it up, how I planted it. This is non-CO2 stock lighting. So it only has two 8-watt LED tubes there. Internal filter with a built-in heater as well. And all easy plants. And I think I really love this. I mean, so easy, so simple. Just 3 nice rocks, 4 or 5 species of easy plants. Got some cherry shrimp in there now as well, which are looking great. Let's see if we can get a close-up of those for you. Oh, she's carrying eggs. Look at that, right in the centre. We'll have some baby shrimp soon. So, Danny R, yeah, you're talking about basically you need to use a much more rigid tubing. So the tubing you're using is too soft, basically. This is a good question. Has the REF helped my aquascaping career? If so, how? Not directly. I guess it taught me some self-discipline, attention to detail, things like that, which you get in a kind of military environment. I went to a military boarding school as well, so I was used to getting up really early in the mornings. So I've kind of carried that on with that in my kind of day-to-day life. I tend to get up really early in the mornings and do a lot of work first thing in the morning. So yeah, I guess that's helped me. Yeah, good question. Okay, so that's 4 tanks. Let's end it with the Fluval Flex. And then we'll do a last bit to camera. So here's the Fluval Flex here. And this is probably the most impressive tank for me in terms of the growth. I mean, I only planted this 3 weeks ago or so. And there is a full update video on this on the Tropica YouTube channel. But you can see the Styrogyne there's carpeting really nicely. Hey Yuris, how you doing, mate? So yeah, check out this on the Tropica YouTube channel. I will probably do an update on this at some point on my own channel as well. You can see the cherry shrimp in here. I've got about half a dozen that will probably start breeding soon. Got a massive female Mano shrimp as well in here. She is huge. I've had her for a few years now. Is she hiding? Yeah. So she is massive. So yeah, really impressed with the growth on this. All easy plants. All of them are Tropica 1-2 grow, apart from the Anubias Petite here. Just one piece of wood. Hygrophila siamensis 53B at the back. Helanthium quadricostatus in the mid-ground. And then we've got the Styrogyne repens. And then a mixture of Marsilea and Liliopsis brasiliensis. So really, really cool setup. I like the Fluval Flex. It's just really nice to have a beginner-friendly setup that most people have access to. Back to the 1200. Shall I show you my book collection? Oh, getting all tangled up with my cables here. So these are all my Amano. This is my Amano shelf. All these are ADA or Amano books. And then there's all my other kind of books here. I've got some reef stuff, planted tanks, and then other kind of planted aquarium books. And then this is, what's this? Oh, this is one of my supplements that I take. If you want boosted brain power, a better sleep, and better overall sense of well-being, this is good stuff. And then I've got, there's my, oh, hello. And then I've got some books on landscape photography, sort of nature photography, etc. And then there's some of my camera kit there. And what else can we show you? Let's end up, what time are we on? Nearly the hour. What can I show you in here that's interesting? See if we can find the baby apistogrammas. So there's the female there. Let's see if we can find the babies. How many practical fish keeping magazines do I have? Well, they send me a copy every month, and they have done for the last, what year are we on now? 2020. So it's 14 years, 14 times 12. No, that's 13 issues a month, so 14 times 13, however many that is. Can't see the babies. Never mind. But there's the female. There's some babies in there. Got some glow light tetras here. These are coral fish. Hey guys, 182. There you go. Okay, I'll pop this back on the tripod and then we'll say a quick cheerio to everyone. Excuse the camera shake, etc. It's very unprofessional of me. There we go. Light back on, shut this door. Okay, so there's a tour of my 5 aquariums at home. Apart from the Awase Styleline 125, there are videos available of all of these tanks. You know, there's probably 50 videos of this one. There's at least a dozen or so of the Malawi cichlid tank, one of the Highline, not the Highline, the Styleline Iwagumi, and then a couple of the Fluval Flex, the setup video, and then if you go on the Tropica channel, an update video on there. Okay, so last couple of minutes, guys. Mike Inca, hi Mike. Just a quick shout out to Mike. He's a regular commentator on my channel, and I really appreciate all the comments, Mike. He always leaves some great feedback, and I really appreciate it. So thank you. Can't remember what your question was. Do apologize. Do you maintain all the aquascapes in one day? Yes, normally. Well, Harrison, my stepson, does, and so at the moment I'm maintaining the Styleline 85 and the Flex. And then Harrison does the 3 other big tanks. But yeah, they normally get done in a day. At the moment, this is actually at the moment getting maintained sometimes 3 times a week, just because we've got the time. And the more water changes we do on it, the better everything looks. Basically, the quicker the plants grow, the healthier the fish. Everything just looks better. Mark Dorr, will I be running a Felix Smart on any of them? Yes, absolutely. Probably on the cichlid tank, because it's got the black camera, so it will be hidden against the black background. You could put it in here because it'd be hidden by the background stems, but I think it'd be more appropriate on the cichlid tank. I think I'd like to see it in there. But yeah, absolutely, we'll use one. Thanks, AD, for dropping by as well, mate. Appreciate it. Can I introduce my equipment? I haven't got time to do that, Erkan, but there is a video. If you go through my Aquascape 1200 playlist, from scratch, and you want to learn all about the equipment in this, then that's on there. button polyps. Just wanted to let you know my aquarium is looking the best it has ever looked since loving the Aquascape you did for me in August. God, is it nearly 2018 August? So button polyps, really great guy. I did a scape for him. Aquascape 900, I think it was. Really nice guy, beautiful setup that he's got, and apparently it's looking great, so that's really cool. I really need to do like a bit of a UK tour and revisit all the tanks that I've set up for clients and make a video of that. That would be great, wouldn't it? No Way Out, 2004, 2003. Would you be coming out to Dublin again after your book is out and on your tour? Hopefully. I love Dublin. Okay, guys, I'm going to say cheerio. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you for all the super chats. 345 of you watching. That's probably a record for me. Really love it. Hit the like button if you've enjoyed the stream. Take care of yourselves, obviously, at this time where most of us are on lockdown still. Enjoy your aquariums. You know, they are therapeutic, and use that as if you can, to help relax if you need to. Maintain them more often, and you get better results, and your aquariums will look better than they normally do. Trust me. And yeah, just take care of yourselves, and I'll see you on the next video. Can't wait to join you again live this time next week, and then I'm really hopeful that I'll get a regular kind of update video out on my channel as well. Probably an update on the Aquascape 1200 maybe. We'll see. Okay, guys, take care of yourselves. All the best. See you in the next video. Keep on scaping. Cheerio.